going to show you the best way to start your calisthenics journey, and I'm also going to show you 3 skills that you can learn as a beginner. Today I'll be giving you the full guide to calisthenics as to how you should program your workouts, what you should be doing for warm-ups, and the different types of calisthenics paths that you can actually take depending on your goals and your journey. So make sure that you guys watch the end of the video if you want to learn all 3 of those skills, as well as how you can develop those skills quickly. So when it comes to calisthenics, there are multiple different types of training styles. You have dynamic training, strength training, skill training, you have balance training. But before you get ahead of yourself, to ensure that you're training safely to learn these skills, you do have to have the basic skills and strength to perform these different movements. When beginning your workouts in calisthenics, it is absolutely crucial that you guys warm up, especially being that you use your wrists for a lot of the different upper body movements. It's very important to make sure that you warm up your wrists, your joints, your elbows, your shoulder blades, so that you can prevent injury in the future, as well as when you're training. When you are trying to learn a new skill, I would highly recommend looking up warm-ups for that specific skill, such as if you're trying to learn handstand, levers, or planks, then you definitely want to warm up your wrists for these kind of movements. So based on the calisthenic movements that you are trying to develop, I would highly recommend doing a little bit of extra research on what kind of warm-ups you should be doing and what muscles are actually being used during these different movements. Back when I first started my weightlifting calisthenics journey, I would always just jump straight into learning skills, and this almost got to the point where I was injuring myself. Throughout the years, I have definitely learned to do more warm-ups and the importance of taking care of your muscles before and after training. I will show you some warm-ups that you could use to start, especially for your wrists. There are many different warm-ups that you could do. You can do wrist rotations, you can press your wrists on the ground, you can do wrist holds, reverse 90-degree wrist pressed against the wall, you can do wrist rotations. If you cannot do these movements, you definitely have some work to do. For example, before I train for doing a planche or a handstand, I would always warm up my wrists, triceps, and shoulders, all that are being used during this movement. After different time periods of training, I very first started training with calisthenics when I first started lifting, as well as I've reverted back to doing calisthenics now that over the years I've built a certain amount of strength and the physique that I've really been going for. I was really going for more of that V taper with strength and aesthetic, and now that I do have the strength and aesthetic that I was looking for, I do want to revert back into doing some more advanced skills with calisthenics. So you guys, make sure that you set aside at least 5 to 10 minutes before you actually do your workout or before you train for these new skills to warm up, and make sure you take the proper precautions to prevent injury ahead of time. There are too many warm-ups and stretches to go over, so if you are curious about a certain movement or set of skills that you want to learn, comment below and I'd be more than happy to make a video about that. So to start building your chest, your triceps, and your shoulders, there's one crucial movement that everybody needs to learn, and this is the building block for weightlifting and calisthenics alike. To build these muscles, you want to do push exercises, which is extremely important to note. I'm sure that you guys have heard of this exercise hundreds of times before, but this exercise is the push-up. To do a proper push-up, you really want to make sure that you have very controlled form. You want to keep your butt down, as well as you want to protract at the top of the movement, protract your scapula. You want to retract at the bottom, kind of leveling out your back and your butt, legs, everything. You really don't want to be that one kid at school who's doing half push-ups or doing speed rep push-ups. You don't want to be that guy, so make sure that you really take the time to focus on perfecting the form with this movement. Not to mention, this will actually help you in the long run when it actually comes to doing different movements and progressions. You do not want to take shortcuts. You want to fully develop the muscle. You want to get the stretch, the eccentric portion, as well as the push. You want every piece working together for this. This will really help you develop your back muscles, your shoulder, your tricep, as well as your chest. You don't want to have that bird chest, so make sure that you take this movement very seriously and you work on getting that form down and correct. This will really prepare you for more advanced calisthenics movements in the future, as well as your weightlifting journey in general. If you're not able to do a push-up, do not worry. There are multiple different variations that you can do of the push-up. There's nothing wrong with doing knee push-ups, otherwise known as girl push-ups. You can do an incline incline push-up on the couch or a park bench. And there are many other different push-up variations that you can do to do isolation on one side of the chest or make them work together. There are lots and lots of different push-up variations. I will drop a short in the description below for 5 of my favorite push-up variations that I used to start building my chest when I first started. You really just need an elevated surface, and this will actually make it easier for you to do the push-up rather than being horizontal to the ground. This makes it a little bit harder, but if you do an elevated on an incline, it does make things easier for you. If this movement is too easy for you, there are variations to make this harder. You can do weighted push-ups, you could do explosive push-ups, you could do spider push-ups. There are lots of different variations to make this more difficult if this movement does become easier for you. Now, dips are one of my favorite exercises, as well as a beautiful example for building definition as well as strength in your arms and shoulders. When it comes to doing dips, there are lots of different variations. You could do pike dips, you could do dips at the park, you could do dips with chairs, you could do it with 2 countertops. Dips really help develop your triceps, chest, and shoulder muscles. So if you are looking to get more of that V-tape look up top, this is the best way to do that and develop those muscles and strengthen those areas as well. Hollow out the middle of your body and lean forward a little bit. This will help you focus on your lower chest. And then you can bend your legs at 90 degrees, and this helps you stabilize your body a little bit more when you have it bent at 90 degrees. If dips are too challenging for you right now, you can switch to bench dips. These you can do on a bench at the park. You could do it over your bed, over the couch. And the closer that you bring your feet to your body at a 90-degree angle, the easier it is, and it takes some weight off of the dip. Whereas if you have your legs straight out, this does make the movement a little bit harder, and you can add this to your progression as you get stronger and better with this movement. One of my personal favorite to help build your shoulders and roundness on your shoulders is the pike push-up variation. So for this exercise, you really want to start in the push-up position. Walk up slowly, you bring your tiptoes closer to your hands, and from here you're going to bend your elbows and push down into the ground and push back up, straightening out your elbows. So if this variation is harder, you can take a couple steps back and you can do it like that. The closer you get to a push-up, the easier it's going to feel to do it, and the closer that you bring your body to an acute angle, it is going to make this variation more difficult. So depending on your level and what your strengths are, you can start a little bit closer or farther, and you can progressively get closer, and this will lead into more advanced movements such as the handstand and the handstand push-up. So as I said, I'll be sharing 3 skills with you that you can learn, and the first one that I would highly recommend learning with these foundational skills is the elbow lever. I will drop a quick YouTube short as to how I learned to do the elbow lever and how you can transition this into the handstand push-up. Now your lats, upper back muscles, biceps, and forearms, these are all pull motions and pull muscles. So now what we have to do is make sure that you have the strength and capability to utilize these muscles properly, and you have a good muscle-mind connection. So I'm going to share a few of my favorite exercises and some of the best muscle building exercises to develop these specific muscles. A great way to start if you've never done your first pull-up is the Australian pull-up. This is personally one of my favorite, and this is what I started to be able to learn how to do pull-ups. You can use 2 elevated surfaces. You can use a desk, you could use a chair, you could go to the park, and if you do have a calisthenics park or an area, you could use a bar and pull yourself up to the bar. Just use whatever works for you and whatever you have access to. So to make this movement a little bit easier for my beginners who have not done their first pull-up, bring your legs up to about 90 degrees. This will take a lot of the load off of your back and a little bit of weight off. This makes the progression easier. This way you can just pull your chest all the way to the bar, squeeze the top, and slowly let your body come back down, and this is when you will reset and go back into the pulling motion. The farther back that you set your feet and the straighter that your legs are, this will make the progression. This one specific exercise will give you an absolute demon back and has helped me develop my V-tapered back and the depth that I have now in my back. The pull-up is the father of all pull exercises, and this exercise is what I use to develop my demon back. Once you do get your first pull-up, you want to nail absolute perfect form. If you can perfect this pull motion, you are going to be absolutely set. When it comes to doing your first pull-up, you want to focus on getting 10 to 15 perfect reps, and from here, once you have this progression down, you can progressively do different things such as the chin up, close grip, pull-ups. This will activate your forearms and your brachioradialis a little bit more. Chin-ups will be more bicep focused, and the wider that you get, the more lat activation you will get out of this specific exercise. You want to basically puff up your chest and squeeze your shoulders in. You don't want to just lay lax at the bottom. You want to have them activate at the bottom and pull your chest up to the bar, kind of puffing your chest out and squeezing your back at the top. The best way to think about this movement is pulling through your arms and forearms up to the bar, and you're going to squeeze your chest at the top and squeeze your back at the top. As you get your pull-ups easier and easier, you're going to want to throw in a couple different variations, as well as you can do weighted. The second skill that you can learn as a beginner is a handstand. Now, this specific exercise does require a certain amount of stability and strength with your arms, shoulders, and core. Once you are more comfortable with your pike push-ups and regular push-ups, you can definitely progress into this movement a little bit easier than others. Make sure that you have your form down with the push-up, like I said earlier, as well as you are very comfortable with your pike push-ups. So, as you can see, many calisthenic athletes do have abs, and the reason for this is it does help progress into new skills, as well as being lean does help with different movements throughout the year. A lot of them like to stay lean and conditioned throughout the year to help them with show performance or just help them progress faster through different exercises. Now, let me be clear, not everybody needs to be lean to progress with calisthenics and build their body. Everybody does have abs, but some people just have a couple extra layers of fat covering their abs. And the best way to bring this down is definitely consistent training, as well as the nutrition and the things that you're putting in your body on a daily basis. All of these things do play a part in the conditioning of your body, as well as the muscles and your abs. But if you have more weight on you or you are a big bone, you don't have to worry. Calisthenics is for everybody, and everybody can learn these movements with enough practice and dedication to applying yourself. Not to mention, calisthenics is in fact beginner friendly. So a couple of the exercises that I like to use for strengthening and conditioning my abdominals is hollow body holds, leg raises, hanging knee raises. There's lots of different things you can do, and I would highly recommend adding 2 to 3 exercises at the end of your training sessions. Your core is very actively involved in a lot of the different exercises that you're going to be doing, such as pull-ups, push-ups, hanging leg raises. So it is important to develop some good core strength and stability if you want to excel in the other exercises and skills that you are trying to learn. So I highly recommend that you do train these muscles and do not neglect them. This does not mean that you have to go on a crazy carnivore diet and get them to show. Some more challenging exercises, I would definitely recommend doing windshield wipers or hanging leg raises. If you can't do hanging leg raises, I would definitely start with hanging knee raises and hanging knee holds until you can progress into doing the leg raises and more advanced ab exercises. The third exercise that you can learn as a calisthenics beginner, which is also one of my favorite, is the L-sit. Now, when it comes to learning the L-sit, there are a couple things that you do want to take into account. This exercise does require a lot of core strength, as well as strength in your arms to keep your body up. And a lot of the time people don't think of this, but you do need a lot of strength within your hamstrings, as well as you need some strength in your quads. Or if you cannot do toe touches, I would recommend stretching a little bit before and doing back and forth toe touches to kind of stretch out your hamstring for this specific movement. So last but not least, we do have legs. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Just kidding, guys. You can actually train your legs body weight. Most people think that you need to have heavy weight to grow your legs or train your legs, and of course you're not going to have legs like Jay Cutler or Ronnie Coleman. You're not going to be able to build big beefy legs with doing body weight, but that is why they have body weight training, as well as you can mix calisthenics and weightlifting. You don't have to do one or the other. You could go to the gym for leg day and you can work on the other skills outside of it. You can develop your legs without having weight. I did this in several different ways, whether it was swimming, riding a bike, doing box jumps, bleacher runs. There are lots of different body weight ways that you can build your legs and define them to look really good with the rest of your physique. You do not need to go to the gym to build muscle with your legs. But not everybody has the option to go to the gym, so I will share a couple of exercises that you can personally do to build your legs outside of the gym. So your legs primarily consist of your quads and hamstrings being your biggest muscles, and then you cannot forget your calves. So a couple of the movements that you can do is lunges, as well as jump squats or box jumps. These really help with activation and stimulating your quads, which is really good for the teardrop and outer definition. For calves, you do have calf raises. You can do these on the stairs or any elevated area. The more of a stretch that you can get at the bottom and the more of a squeeze you can get at the top, the better. The eccentric movement is very important for your calves, And if this movement does become easier, you can do it with a single leg, or you can add weight to your movement in a backpack or hold the weight yourself. Now, if these quad exercises do become too easy, there are some more challenging exercises such as pistol squats and sissy squats. These challenge your muscles a little bit more. These exercises may be a little bit tough on your knees, but they will help build your knees resistance up, and remember to consume enough greens to rebuild the cartilage in those areas as you are performing these exercises. That is very important. But if you do have bad knees, you might want to stay away from things like sissy squats and pistol squats, as they can be very demanding on the joints. You can do Nordic hamstring curls and RDLs, which have been very effective with building my hamstrings as well. For this exercise, you can put your feet under something that weighs a lot more than you and is not going to tip. Slowly let yourself fall forward, giving a stretch to your hamstrings, but catch yourself with your hands. Let your hamstring go when your body says it is ready to go. You do not want to tear a hamstring, but you do want to get enough of a stretch and enough of a weight on your hamstrings to stimulate that specific muscle. So this exercise even gives professional athletes trouble, as actually used in sports such as football, basketball, and baseball. So common scheduling and programming for a beginner might look a little something like this. The first day of the week would be something of push or pull. You could do push, then Tuesday you could do pull, then you can do a rest day on Wednesday, push on Thursday, and a pull on Friday, Saturday legs, and then Sunday rest, and then you can switch in or out for whatever day. If you are sore on, say, a push or a pull earlier in the week, you are more than welcome to switch that out for legs, or if you primarily want to grow your legs, you can trade out a push or a pull for legs. Programming is truly up to you, but you do want to give your body enough time to rest and recover between these sessions. Now that we have programming in a lot of the exercises and things that you need to start your journey, a couple of things that we could talk about when it comes to programming is the goals that you may have. If you are going for strength, you're going to want to be within the rep ranges of 6 to 8 reps, adding weights in book bags or just weighted exercises in general if you have a weight belt. 6 to 8 reps is going to be your hot spot for building strength. Now, if you're looking for muscle growth and muscle size, we're going to get more into the hypertrophy range. This will include rep ranges from around 8 to 12 reps. You want to make sure you're going to failure there at the end on your working sets, and that you are actually taking advantage of that stimulus and intensity when it comes to doing hypertrophy exercises. But depending on your schedule, it really depends on what you want to do and what your goals are. Once you get into the rep ranges of about 15 to 20, you're getting more into the endurance. This is when you're going a little bit longer and you're looking for that longevity and stamina within your training program. So I would highly recommend training about 3 to 6 times a week. I know that you can find about 30 minutes within your day to do this training. One thing I will say, if you're looking to be a hybrid trainer and you're looking to do calisthenics as well as weightlifting, I would highly recommend working on your calisthenics skills beforehand. If you do have lactic acid buildup in your muscles, this can make it a little bit more difficult to do the calisthenics movements, as you'll be more fatigued and you will not have as much strength left over. Whereas if you go into doing a couple of the balancing and calisthenics movements, you can work on those skills for about 10 to 15 minutes, then move into your weightlifting, and you'll have a little bit more controlled environment, isolation, machines, things of that such that'll make it easier for you. This is a recommendation I would have for people who are looking to be hybrid lifters, but if you're only looking to do calisthenics, I would highly recommend on building quality sets and reps throughout your programming. So if there's a specific skill that I wanted to learn, this is how I would go about it. If I wanted to learn how to do the handstand, I would throw this into the push category throughout the week that I am training push muscles. I would practice that, and then I would do a couple of the exercises like the dips, push-ups, and core exercises to develop those different movements and strength after I've already worked on that skill. You're gonna have lactic acid buildup by the end of your workout, so you want to make sure that you get that skill and the things that require a lot of stability, get that out of the way in the beginning of your work. I would make sure that you find warm-ups and do this for 5 to 10 minutes before all of your training sessions. Make sure that you take care of warm-ups, whether it be your wrists, pull, push movements, whatever it is. Make sure you have a good set of warm-up that you can do, and this will really help you make sure that you prevent all injuries in the future, as well as you set yourself up for an efficient and effective workout. If you guys found this video helpful and you want to learn more about calisthenics, weightlifting, and nutrition, make sure that you guys subscribe and drop a comment on what you guys want to see next, or if you guys have any questions for me.